All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a job title that pretty much popped up out of nowhere, the AI prompt engineer. If you went back just a few years, this job title literally didn't exist. So it begs the question, right? Why now? What changed? To really get our heads around what a prompt engineer does, we've got to first understand the problem they were hired to fix.
Okay, so, Section 1. Why this job now? It all comes down to what you could call the generative AI tipping point. This wasn't just another small step, it was a huge leap in how we talk to computers.
So, for a long time, these really powerful AI models were kind of locked away in research labs, right? They were interesting, but not something the average person could play with. Then, bam! Late 2022, ChatGPT drops, and it's like the floodgates opened. All of a sudden, millions of us could talk to an AI. And of course, this kicked off a total AI gold rush, with companies just racing to cram this new tech into everything they made. But there was a huge problem. All these companies jumping on the bandwagon, they hit a wall, and fast. See, these AI models are incredibly powerful, but they're also, well, they're wild. They're unpredictable. With regular software, you write code, you know exactly what you're going to get. But with these new models, not so much. You could get a brilliant answer one second, and then something completely made up, off topic, or even dangerous the next.
So this new reality called for a whole new way of working. It was a move from writing rigid code to having a conversation. You can't just order these models around. You have to talk to them. And that meant building things in a totally different way.
So what does that new workflow look like? Well, instead of writing code, teams got stuck in this loop, a cycle. First, you design a prompt, basically an instruction. Then you test it, see what the AI spits out. After that, you'd have to measure it. Was it any good? Was it accurate? Was it safe? And finally, you refine the prompt and do it all over again. And again. And again. It's this nonstop process of tweaking and improving. And here is the kicker. This new process didn't really fit anywhere. It wasn't just software engineering, it wasn't just data science, and it wasn't just creative writing. It was this weird, new hybrid of all three. You needed the logic of an engineer and the communication skills of a great writer. No one job title covered all that. So, companies invented one. And that's how we got the prompt engineer.
Okay, so that's the origin story. That's why the job exists. But what does a prompt engineer actually do all day? What's the day-to-day really like? Let's peel back the curtain and take a look.
All right, a prompt engineer's day. We're talking about the hands-on reality of the job here. And trust me, it's not just one thing. These folks have to wear a ton of different hats, mixing creative work, deep analysis, and a whole lot of teamwork.
So a huge chunk of their day is just hands-on experimentation. It's a lot of trial and error. You can think of them as part scientist, part poet. They're constantly writing prompts, running them, and then sifting through the results like a detective, hunting for errors, biases, or just plain weird outputs. And what's really cool is when the AI messes up, they're not debugging code. They're debugging language. They're fixing the conversation.
But it's not a lonely job. They're not just tucked away in a corner talking to a computer all day. Far from it. They're actually the central hub, the translator between the human side of the company and the AI. They're constantly talking with product managers to figure out what users want, with designers to get the tone just right, and with engineers to actually plug their carefully crafted prompts into the app.
So let's make this real for a second. Think about an AI writing tool like Jasper. A prompt engineer there might be tasked with creating a feature that generates blog posts. They're the ones who design the super detailed, behind-the-scenes prompt that takes a user's simple idea and turns it into a well-structured article. So, the quality of that feature you're using, it comes directly from their work. Okay, next up, quality, safety, and iteration. This is all about what prompt engineers are ultimately responsible for. Because look, it's one thing to get the AI to work. It's a whole other challenge to make it work well. And, this is huge, to make it work safely. This is where the job gets really serious.
Yeah, AI safety is a gigantic piece of the puzzle for them. You can think of a prompt engineer as being on the front lines, building digital guardrails. They have to constantly put on their black hat, so to speak, and think, how could someone break this? How could this go wrong? They have to anticipate all the ways a user might try to get the AI to say something harmful, biased, or just plain forbidden, and then build defenses right into the prompt.
So really, their entire job is about steering the conversation. They're the driver. They're constantly trying to keep the AI's output in that desired lane. You want it to be factual, helpful, and safe. At the same time, they're putting up roadblocks to keep it from swerving into that undesired lane where you get things like misinformation, what people call hallucinations, or biased and harmful content.
So how do they pull this off day after day? Well, they live and breathe that cycle we talked about earlier. Design, test, measure, refine. Over and over. Because here's the thing, the AI models themselves are always changing, and people are always finding new ways to use them. So a prompt engineer's job is never really done. It's a constant, ongoing process of making things just a little bit better, a little bit safer.
So if you take one thing away from this explainer, let it be this. Prompt engineering is not some theoretical academic job. You shouldn't picture someone in an ivory tower just thinking about AI. No, you should picture a craftsperson with their sleeves rolled up, a hands-on builder. They're the ones in the trenches wrestling with these powerful tools to make them genuinely useful, reliable, and safe for all of us.
And that really leaves us with a big question to think about, doesn't it? The prompt engineer might be the first job with a title like this, but that core skill, knowing how to talk to an AI to get what you want, that's probably going to become a part of, well, almost everyone's job. It really makes you think about how this new kind of conversation between us and our machines is going to change the work we all do every single day.